Tip.
Hello, everyone. My name is Stephen Murray, and I'd like to welcome you to another episode of The Gift of Giving. For those of you who are tuning in for the first time, this program focuses on the nonprofits, foundations, and 501c3s based right here in the state of Nevada. These are the people who are giving back to our community and making a better and brighter place. This week, we have a wonderful guest. Her name is Jill Roberts. She's the CEO of Trauma Intervention Program of Southern Nevada, Inc., otherwise known as TIP. Please welcome to the program, Jill Roberts, CEO. Thank you for joining us today, Jill.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It's going to be a pleasure. I know it will be. Would you like to give us a brief overview of what TIP actually does and give us some history and your mission?
Absolutely. So, Trauma Intervention Program is a nonprofit organization. It has been in existence for 40 years.
Wow.
We've actually been here in Clark County for 30 years, 31 years this year. But what we do is we respond out to scenes of tragedy at the request of emergency responders. By we, I mean volunteers.
Yes.
And our volunteers then on those scenes are providing emotional and practical support to people in crisis.
Wow.
Usually it's after a death takes place. I'd say about 95% of our calls are death related. And so our volunteers are out there providing support immediately in the immediate aftermath of when someone has died and their family is there, or friends or witnesses or bystanders.
Boy, that's a tough task.
Yeah.
That's a tough task. Your volunteers have got to be very, very special individuals to be prepared to jump in at those times of such personal crises for so many of these people. Bless their hearts.
Yes.
We'll talk more about the volunteers later in this program because obviously they're a key part of what you do. They're the foundation of what you guys do.
Yes, they
Now,
are.
what made you join TIP?
So I've been a part of the organization for 17 years.
Boy.
I started as a volunteer.
Mhm.
So 17 years ago, I went through the training necessary and went through the whole process of becoming a volunteer myself. At that time of life, I wanted to find something meaningful, something where I was making a difference. And I'd seen a newspaper article about TIP, and I also knew someone who was a volunteer.
Uh-huh.
So I went through the process, and it was life-changing. I was a volunteer for 3 years, and then was given the opportunity to take over the organization in a leadership role, and so I've been with TIP ever since.
Boy, so when you said you took over in a leadership role, have you been CEO for the last 14 years?
I have. I left.
Wow.
Yes, I left a 15-year hotel management career to jump over to the nonprofit realm and run TIP.
Yes.
Yeah.
What made you sort of actually choose TIP to volunteer with? I mean, from hotel management to volunteering for TIP and crisis.
I really wanted to do something where I felt like I was making a difference.
Gotcha.
And wasn't quite sure, thought, well, I'll go through the academy and see what it's all about.
Uh-huh.
And once I started going out on calls and providing support to people who were in need, it was amazing to see just what a difference TIP does. To have people there, to have someone there for people in their worst moments, to provide them with a listening ear, resources to support them, and just being there with them. I found it to be so rewarding that it just fit.
It just worked out. Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned about the resources, and that is funny because that was going to be my next question. You have and I saw it on your website, you have a wonderful community resource guide, Trauma Intervention Program Community Resource Guide, Citizens Helping Citizens in Crisis. And a lot of this was on your website, and there's an awful lot of very, very valuable information in this book. Now, can the public reach out and purchase copies of this book, or?
So, great question. That community resource guide is on our website in its entirety. And so, for people out in the community, they can always access that 24/7 by jumping on our website at tipoflasvegas.org and going under the community resource tab and finding that community resource guide. So, that guide is always in its most updated form on our website. And people can actually even go and print that out for themselves. The only way to get an issued copy of this is when we respond out to a scene and our volunteers give that to a person in person, but the resources are accessible to anyone at all times.
Well, I have to tell you, it's an excellent book. It's truly excellent. And for the viewers that need any of these services, this community resource guide gives you tips on crisis hotlines, addictions, counseling, domestic violence, food, clothing and shelter, legal services, senior services, veteran services. There's all kinds of valuable information in this book. So I encourage our viewers to go on their website. We'll give out that information later, as we always do. Also, I noticed on your website, one of your resources is grieving and mourning process.
Yes.
And my sense from what I saw on your website, that is a very, very important part of what TIP does.
Yes. Like I said, most of the calls that we respond out to are after a death takes place.
Yes.
And there's research that shows that only 7% of people seek counseling or support after the death of a loved one. And so for many people, the encounters that our volunteers have on scenes is the only time that they're going to get support.
Yes.
And so, especially with the resources that we have, the community resource guide, the grief and mourning resources, a lot of times people will receive these resources and no other support. So it's really important that we're able to provide those.
Yes. Boy. And sometimes when you're providing this immediate grief, do you find some of it does some of it become ongoing?
So,
like it's after somebody's just passed, do you often find the need to contact them a week down the road or the next day or something to see how they're holding up?
That's a great question. So we have on-scene support, which is our forte, is that immediate aftermath of the tragedy, right when it's taking place. But our volunteers do have the ability to make a follow-up phone call to see how the person or people are in the following days after. Also, on the community resource guide is our phone number for our office, so people can call in anytime during business hours and speak with one of our staff members who can give further assistance and resources. We also send out a letter about a week or two after we've been out to be with individuals. And in that letter, we ask if there's a need for any further resources and again, provide the phone number for our office so they can call in and get further resources for themselves.
Cool.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes when these people call into the staff, if they've already established a relationship with the person that originally contacted them, can they say, can you ask that particular volunteer, Jane Doe, to call me? I need to talk to them. And can they establish a rapport with
Usually they're going to speak with whomever is in the office because we can assist them as well. There are times that we can connect them with that initial volunteer that responded out. But typically they're looking more for the resources that we have to offer or an ear at that moment. And so we'll be able to provide that support for them.
Okay. Now, one of the other things that I saw on your website is where you also respond is a tragedy in the workplace.
Yes.
Would you like to elaborate a little bit on tragedies that happen in the workplace?
Absolutely. So if someone dies within a certain place of employment, oftentimes that affects their coworkers, their management, the people that they work with every day. So we do have a program where we go out to places of employment and provide what we call a debrief for the staff, the employees, the management team, whoever it is that needs support after they've had an employee or a coworker that has died.
Uh-huh.
And so we're able to send volunteers out and do a group setting, what we call debrief, to talk about that person and to start the reminiscing process and to normalize people's feelings about what they're going through in that
Sure.
loss.
Yes.
So just because they might not be family doesn't mean they're not family,
Yes.
because sometimes we see our coworkers more than we see our families.
Yes, for sure, for
Yeah.
sure. Very interesting points. We're going to reach out, talk in the second segment about when TRP actually responds and how people learn about you, who calls you. So
Sure.
please stay with us, folks. We're just going to take a brief sponsorship break, and we'll be right back with Jill Roberts, CEO of Trauma Intervention Program of Southern Nevada.
Yes.
Budget deficits, national debt, presidential elections, government shutdowns, global conflicts in Europe, global conflicts in the Middle East, global pandemics, interest rates, rising inflation. Markets go up and markets go down for reasons nobody can control. Don't let the volatility of the stock market determine the quality of your retirement. Your financial strategy can make all the difference. I'm Joshua Dowden. At Priority Wealth Partners, your goals are our goals. We believe people can live better lives with smart financial education and knowledge. We work closely with clients to match strategy with individual needs. Our personal financial strategies have helped investors accomplish their goals while reducing market volatility, and we can help you too. You've worked hard to get where you are now. Your financial plan should work hard for you in retirement. Conveniently located in downtown Summerlin, my name's Joshua Dowden. Call me today for a free consultation. 702-808-6513. That's 702-808-6513.
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for staying with us, and welcome back, Jill Roberts, CEO of Trauma Intervention Program of Southern Nevada. So, when does TIP actually respond to people? Are they available all year round, or?
Yes. TIP volunteers are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because tragedy doesn't discriminate on time.
No.
And so we have volunteers that are ready to go at 3 in the morning, at 2 in the afternoon, on Christmas Day, 24 hours a day.
Wow. Now, who is it that actually calls you?
Yes.
Because, I mean, if people are in a car accident, it's not going to be the victims or the family victims.
That's right.
How are you drawn into these events?
We get sent out by the emergency response agencies here in our community.
Okay.
So we work with every fire department, every police department, most of the hospitals here in Clark County, the coroner's office. They are the ones that are calling us out. So once an incident takes place and someone picks up the phone and calls 911, medical is usually first to arrive. So that's your paramedics, your fire department, and they can establish the need to call us. And what they do is just call into their communication center and say, send tips out here right now, and we'll get a volunteer going. If it's the police department that is responding out, they'll call same way. They'll request us through their communications department, and we get a volunteer out on the road ASAP. And so while the emergency responders are working the scene, our volunteer is there to provide support to the folks who are on the scene.
Boy. Okay, now you mentioned earlier that a lot of them are family members and friends following a natural or an unexpected death. Mm-hmm. But also, I see on your website you have victims of crime, like sexual assault, yes, robberies, burglaries. Would you like to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. We will get called out to hospitals after people have been through traumatic crises, victimization, whether it's sexual assault or even just, physical assault. We get called out to convenience stores after someone has come in and held up the cashier and demanded money and put a gun in their face. That's traumatic.
Boy.
That can be really traumatic.
Yes.
And so even though a death didn't occur or physical injury didn't occur, that's still very much a crisis for the person that's involved. And so our volunteers will go out for things like that as well. We also go out to some of the hospitals who have intensive care units or trauma intensive care units for patients and even family members of someone who was, let's say, in a motor vehicle accident and now has injuries that they have to live with for the rest of their lives. We'll have volunteers go out and provide support to those folks as well.
Boy, that's a lot of ground you're covering.
Mm-hmm.
Now, who are your TIP volunteers? Where do they come from? What do they have to be a certain age? Do they have to come from a certain occupation? Have a certain background?
That is a good question. And the only real requirement is that they have a heart of compassion. Of course, there's other requirements,
Sure.
but that is the big one. The minimum age is 18 years old. Okay. We have college students, we have retired folks, and everything in between.
Wow.
They need to have a working vehicle. They need to have car insurance. We do background checks on all of our volunteers. They actually go through an application process in order to be considered to be a volunteer.
Wow. And have many of them come from you because they've been through a traumatic experience themselves personally, and they think because you helped them, they're now going to help somebody else?
We do have some volunteers who have been recipients of TIP support in the past.
Yes.
And so they've said, wow, I received such great care. I want to do for others what someone did for me.
Good for you.
It's not everybody. We have some folks who are spouses of emergency responders, and their spouse has come home and told them all about our program, and so they find interest in that way. We have medical school students who are volunteers, who want to get the exposure of compassion and action before they're going through medical school. We have housewives, we have professional folks, and everywhere in between.
Yes, across the board.
Yeah.
Well, volunteers really are they're the foundation of your organization.
Yes.
They're the whole meat and potatoes of your organization. And I'd like to talk a little bit about this program you have coming up. It's a very, very comprehensive program, volunteer program, 2025 Spring Academy. So let's talk about this for a while, because it's a very, very comprehensive session you've got here. It's 2, 4, 6, 8 days of training.
Yes.
And it's 4 hours. 4 hours for 6 of those days, and 7 of those days, and 8 hours for another one.
Yes.
That's a lot of training.
It is.
So people that want to be volunteers for your organization have to be very, very dedicated or passionate about joining the organization.
Yes. So our training academy is very thorough, as you outlined the timing. It is a long academy, but that's so that anyone over the age of 18 that qualifies will learn the skills that they need to provide support on scenes of tragedy.
Yes.
It's a lot of information that's packed into that academy, but it's all very relevant to what they'll be doing, so that when they finish the academy, they have the confidence that they're able to go out and start providing support to folks. Okay. So after they go through the classroom training, they also will then go through 3 months of field training, where they're paired with a veteran volunteer out on scenes before they're released to going out on their own. So when they're fully graduated and going out on calls on their own, they usually have had a wide array of circumstances, have been able to provide support to a wide array of folks, and really feel confident in being able to go out and provide support.
Wow. Now, is this a program you have every year, the Spring Academy?
We do usually 2 training academies
Oh,
every year.
Wow.
We'll do, I believe our next one is going to be in October after this one. But twice a year, we offer the training academy, and we usually have about 25 folks that go through that to see if the TIP program is right for them.
Right for them.
Mhm.
And this one that you've got coming up, you've got one that's starting on April the 30th, so it starts in a week's time, and it runs through Friday, May the 9th.
Yes.
So more information is on their website. The information will be given out later. What kind of success rate is there in the volunteers completing the course in your experience?
Yeah.
Because I would imagine there's a couple of people probably in day 3 think this isn't for me.
You are right. So day 1 of the academy, we really focus on putting everything out on the table. This is what you can expect. Here are some scenarios that you may find yourself in. Here's what you can expect from the organization, and also our expectations of our volunteers. So usually the first day, we will have some people that think, this is maybe a little bit more time than I thought, or wow, I'm really going to be in the middle of someone's tragedy and I'm not sure if I can do that. So we do have some people that come the first night and then decide maybe this isn't right for them, and that's okay. And then throughout the training academy, we may have 1 or 2 that also maybe determines this might be too much, or it's a triggering circumstance for something that they've been through. And so sometimes we'll find that people will say, I really want to do this, but maybe now is not the time. Maybe I need to work through my own crisis or tragedy before I'm able to do this for the community. And so we always say it's okay. It's okay if someone starts the process and doesn't finish it, because we want to make sure that people are in the right mental headspace themselves in order to provide support to folks.
Good. It makes perfect sense.
Mm-hmm.
Now, these people, the volunteers, once they sign up, are they given schedules, or do you work? Because some of them, I assume, work full time anyway, so they can't be called away from the job. So do you have like a roster that these people can only be on call from 6 till 2 in the morning, and these can be 1 till 9? Is that how it works?
So we have shifts.
Uh-huh.
They're 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and then 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. And volunteers sign up for the shifts.
Gotcha.
So they give us their availability, and then we come up with a calendar. Okay. So they pick when they're going to be on shift, and they can be anywhere that they want to be. They can be at home. They can be out and about at a barbecue or whatever. But during that time frame that they're on call, when they get a call, they know that they have to be out the door within 5 minutes, headed to the scene that they're called out to be at, and on scene within a half an hour to provide support.
Okay. Now, do you have some of their qualifications assigned with them? For example, language could be an issue. Here we have a community with multiple languages, and somebody might be like Hispanic, and they only speak Hispanic. Do the people then have to look and say, this is a Hispanic volunteer, get them there? Do you try and do a little bit of matching when it comes to something like that?
So we do have Spanish-speaking volunteers in other languages as well.
Sure.
So if a volunteer happens to be on call during a time that a request comes in for a certain language, we will accommodate. However, we found that care and compassion doesn't really require a lot of verbal communication at times. Yes. So if we have a volunteer on call that does not speak the language that the people on scene speak, they're still able to provide support. Now there's a lot of translation apps on phones that can be helpful. But too, a lot of times just sitting with someone in silence is still supportive.
Oh, yes. Holding their hands and giving them a hug, I
Yes.
suppose. That's a very nice positive thought to end our second segment. Please stay with us. We're just going to take a brief sponsorship break and we'll be right back.
Introducing Pacific Coast Capital, your partner in finance. We provide financing for your business. Speed, flexibility, and creativity are the foundation of our service. We'll help you navigate through change and opportunities. Our 90-plus years of experience ensures quick turnaround on loan decisions. Ride the wave to prosperity with us. Ready for new funding? Visit our website today at PacificCoastCap.com.
Country roads take me home to the place where I belong, West Virginia, Mountain Mama. Here comes a triple yodel.
Welcome back, everyone, and I'd like to welcome back Jill Roberts from Trauma Intervention Program of Southern Nevada. Let's stick with the volunteers because that is basically your whole operation is all volunteers, I'm assuming. Do you actually have any paid staff?
Yes. Myself and one other. We have two of us are full-time and everyone else is volunteers.
Volunteer.
Yes.
And how many volunteers do you actually have at this point in time?
So we have 70 volunteers, and
Wow.
they commit a minimum of 3 13-hour shifts every month.
Wow.
So that's over 40 hours a month that our volunteers are committing between their on-shift commitment and continuing education.
Wow. Well, I'm assuming you can always use more volunteers. You can
We
never have too many
sure
volunteers.
can. Yes, and we're excited for this upcoming class that's coming up and hoping to fill the class.
Okay. Now, do you have a maximum number of attendees in your classes?
Max is 30.
Okay. And do you have many signed up for this upcoming one yet?
We've got 18. So
18.
we've got some more space.
We're looking for 12 more volunteers for any of you out there who are interested in joining this amazing program. You're doing such positive things out there. It's all positive, everything that you're doing, and helping out the way you're doing it.
Thank you.
If people miss this spring training, the next one you have is, as you said, later on this year in the fall. What if you get somebody that calls in June or July and says, I'd like to volunteer? Do they have to sign up for the next thing or wait? Or do you bring them in and start training them as they go kind of thing?
They have to go through the whole academy. So we do have wait lists and people who can't attend this one but want to attend the next one. And so, yes, they only have those few times a year that they're able to go through the training to become a volunteer.
Wow. Okay. I also saw on your website you have 100 Call Club.
Yes.
Would you like to tell our viewers a little bit about your 100 Call Club?
I would love to. So our volunteers are amazing people, as you've already pointed out. They give a lot to the community and they're giving a lot of themselves to be there with people. So when volunteers start with our program, they're committing to those 3 13-hour shifts. Once a volunteer has been out on 100 scenes of tragedy, we induct them into what we call the 100 Call Club. And one of the benefits is that they now only have to do 2 13-hour shifts as opposed to 3. And then they get a few other benefits too. They get acknowledgement at an annual dinner and a pin for their badge and a few other things like that. So for every 100 calls that they respond out to, they get acknowledgement.
Oh boy.
Yes.
Well, if some of you have been there 10 years, you said,
Yes.
some of them have been quite a few hundred clubs.
The
So-
volunteer that we have that has been on the most number of calls is just shy of 1,000 scenes.
Wow.
Now, he's kind of an anomaly. He's in his own classification because the next one up and coming is in the 200, 300 range.
Yes.
But because annually, most volunteers will go out on maybe 25 to 45 calls somewhere in that area.
Wow. That's amazing. Now, your services that you provide, they're all free.
Yes.
So how does the organization get funding? Because there are expenses, of course.
Yes,
How
as
do
a
you get funded?
nonprofit organization, we rely on the community to support us. Most of our finances actually come from the agencies that we service. So we are a line item on the budgets of all of the fire departments and police departments here in Clark County. They believe in our program so much that they pay us to respond out to scenes. It's not enough to pay our bills. So we do still have fundraisers throughout the years. We have a scene supporter program that people can sign up for where it's a monthly giving program. We have a program on our website where people can donate their spare change and round up. So if they spend $10.55, then they round up to $11 and the change
Gotcha.
goes to tip. Things like that. We have an Amazon wish list on our website where people can go and make purchases of things that our volunteers provide to people on scenes. And those items are then handed over to our volunteers to provide. So there's a wide array of ways that we do get our income.
Sure.
And one of those ways is through the community.
Yes. Do you get anything from the corporations or casinos or government grants? State, local, or?
I do write grants as well. And so we are fortunate enough to be recipients of some very nice grants through different companies in the community that support us.
Good. So, well, it sounds like you've got a real operation. You've got it all down pat there, it sounds like.
Yes.
Now, you also have a sister organization up in northern Nevada.
Yes.
Do you deal much or communicate with them?
We do work on occasion with them. There's actually 17 affiliates across the country. But yeah, I would say if we work with any one over the other, it would be our Northern Nevada sister.
Okay. So for those of you tuning in from Northern Nevada, there is an affiliate up there, and we'll be giving out their information too at the end of this program. Have you ever had any negative feedback from certainly like in stores where you see people going after a robbery, something like that, and people have gone and tried to help? Have there been any malfeasance or misrepresentations? You know, you go and you think a store's been robbed and you go to help the owner and you find out that what you've been told isn't quite accurate or quite true. Has that ever happened? Or
so we have had some situations where our volunteers are providing support to folks who do end up being arrested for things. Certainly as we're there in those immediate moments following tragedy, sometimes the police department is still investigating what's taking place. And so on occasion that has happened. It's rare.
But
it's very rare because the police department is always looking out for us. And they will call us to scenes that are safe and protected, but it has happened.
Yes.
Yeah.
And have your volunteers, has there ever been an occasion where your volunteers have had to walk away from a situation, or they'll just stick with it through the end no matter what?
Our volunteer safety is number one for us. This is why we only send volunteers out on scenes where emergency responders are present. And so they're never going into someone's home without an emergency responder being there with them, or even a place of business. But yes, if a volunteer does not feel safe for any reason, we will never question their decision to leave.
Wow. It's a wonderful organization. What you're doing is amazing work within the community. And unfortunately, it doesn't seem to have been recognized that much.
Yes, yeah.
It's probably because it's all behind the scenes.
It is. A
And
lot of
it's not
times people
visual.
know about us because we've been out to support them. There's so many times that I go out to do presentations in the community where I'll have people come up to me and say, I know about your organization, but it's because you had a volunteer with me in my worst moment.
Wow.
Mhm.
Yes, and that's clearly when you are there with these people when they're in their worst moments.
Mhm.
Jill, thank you so much for being on this program and coming and sharing the work of TIP.
You're welcome.
I think you're doing absolutely amazing work. Would you care to share with our viewers your phone number, your contact information?
Absolutely. If you are wanting to volunteer or make any donations, feel free to check out our website at tipoflasvegas.org. And our telephone number into the office is 702-229-0426.
There you go. Thank you, Jill.
You're
And for
welcome.
those of you who are in Northern Nevada, Tip of Northern Nevada, the website is www.tipnnv.org, and their phone number is 775-337-2112. And I think volunteering for your organization isn't for everyone because of the emotional demands. And as you said, you've got to be a very special person to want to do it. But there are ways that the community can help, and is it mainly through donating money?
Money, supplies. Like I said, we have a wish list, an Amazon wish list that is on our website if individuals want to donate actual items. Yes.
Yes. And if there's anybody out there, you know of anybody who's going through a crisis, please go to their website and look up this community resource guide. It's got all the information there that you could possibly need. It's pages and pages. So hopefully you'll go and visit. So thank you again, Jill, for being with us and sharing your
welcome.
experience. And please keep up the good work.
Thank you so much.
And I'd like to thank you, the viewers, for tuning in this week. If you have any questions or comments about this program, please reach out to me at stephen@thegiftofgiving.vegas. I'd also like to thank our show's producer and station owner of WWDBTV, John Stiles. Appreciate you giving me the opportunity to host this program. And certainly I'd like to thank our sponsors. Their Priority Wealth partners, Pacific Coast Capital, the Firelight Barn, and RJ Champion. You'll hear his message right at the end of this program. And also Friends of the Gift of Giving. These are the anonymous donors who keep the program going but wish to remain anonymous. So thank you again to all you viewers for tuning in. Please share this interview with anyone who you think might benefit from it. And hopefully you'll join us again next week. In the meantime, please stay safe, be kind to one another, and see you soon. Bye for now.
Mr. RJ Champion is proud to sponsor WWDB-TV's series, The Gift of Giving, and wishes the program much success. Congratulations and gratitude to the featured guests and the organizations they represent. Our community is well served by your tireless efforts to make Nevada a better state for all its residents.